What up, y'all? This is Patrick Hayes. I hope you're doing well today. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about different levels of energy. So I want to talk about the different kinds of energies that we feel in our body. So different kinds of feeling, really. So there's energy that exists on many different levels: physical energy, etheric energy, emotional energy, mental energy, and spiritual energy. So I want to talk about all these different levels of energy and kind of where they exist and what dimension they exist, and how all these different levels are kind of stacked on top of each other and how they interface with each other, so that you can have a clear understanding of what's going on when you're feeling different energies, where these energies are coming from, and then you'll have a better time navigating through these energies because you have a clearer understanding. Now, the reason why I got interested in this stuff in the first place is because ever since I was a little kid, I had all these different kind of ineffable experiences. And one of the hardest things in my life has been being able to learn how to articulate the kinds of things that I've experienced and the kinds of things that I notice and the things that I have paid attention to for a long time. So one of the things I highly value is the ability to be able to articulate what's going on with me and categorize and create frameworks for the introspective kind of subjective experiential things, and objective too, but in this case subjective experiential things that I've been experiencing for my whole life and trying to ask people about. When I was a kid, I used to try to ask elders or different people about what's going on, and they couldn't answer me. I would be saying, I'm feeling this thing, I'm feeling this energy, or I'm seeing this thing, I'm having this kind of experience. And no one was there to really kind of explain what's going on. And specifically and especially, no one was there to kind of give me, there was no handbook. No one was there to explain to me how to navigate this consciousness vehicle that I have. And when I think about this now, I think it's like, how ridiculous is this? That there's no manual for how to operate your consciousness. We have this vehicle where our spirit is inhabiting this vehicle that traverses through these physical realms and astral realms and etheric realms and exists on all these different levels of existence. But there's no manual. No one teaches us how to navigate this vehicle. We come into this world and it's like we're just hit with the barrage of, programming, and we have all these thoughts and all these emotions, and it's all jumbled up and we can't tell one thing from the next. And it's really difficult to navigate and make sense of your life and actually have a successful life where we're exploring the kinds of things we want to explore and doing the kinds of things we want to do and having the kinds of experiences that are uplifting and enlightening, if we don't have a clear understanding of how to even navigate this consciousness vehicle. And this is the role that I feel like metaphysics plays in reality. And since metaphysics has kind of been wiped from the commonplace palette, there's no real story for what a human is and what we're here to do. And there's no real manual or how-to on how to operate this vehicle of consciousness that we inhabit. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share just a small portion of one of the things that I am going to be sharing and going more into depth on in a future course that I have coming up here pretty soon. And it's going to be basically a course on how to understand this consciousness vehicle that we are inhabiting and how to navigate it through understanding all the different dynamics and mechanics of ourselves and of our physical and spiritual anatomy, if you will. Okay, so to start off, the first level, this one's simple, it's physical. Now, we've all felt physical energy. Physical energy is, you feel it, right? It's heat from a fire, right? Or it's wind being blown on you. Everyone's had the experience of feeling things physically, right? But there's a lot more levels than just physical for feeling. So while we can have the experience of feeling something physically, we also have an experience other times of feeling energies. And this is associated with our etheric body, right? So this is the life body that gives life to the physical body. A plant has one, a rock does not have one. So you can make that distinction there, right? So it's a life body, and this life body feels things it feels prana and chi, right? You feel it more in like an internal warmth, right? Or you can feel it as like a tingling. So if you focus on a certain part of your body for a long enough period of time, you'll feel the charge compression of that part of your body. You'll feel it start to tingle or heat up, and you can feel maybe some pressure on it, right? So this is in the etheric realm. And if you do something like qigong or yoga, where you're accessing prana and you're bringing chi force into your life, you can feel this very, very distinctly. You can feel your etheric body. So you have your physical body and you have your etheric body. And the etheric body is felt through practices like Qigong, yoga, things where you feel chi. And you can feel actually, if you do, enough Qigong where it feels like there's two magnets kind of repelling each other in between your hands. This is actually your etheric body that is feeling right there, right? So it's similar in the sense that you feel it, and this is where it's tricky. You feel it, but it's not the same kind of feeling as feeling physical, right? And then you have emotion, which is the next level up, and this is your emotional body, which is part of your astral body. Now your emotional body, again, you're feeling that also when you feel an emotion, but it's different than feeling chi or feeling energy, right? There's a distinction that you can make there. Emotional is something, now you may be feeling it at the same time that you feel energetics like chi or prana, but there's a different quality to it. So if you feel into yourself when you're having an emotion, you'll be able to make the distinction between an emotional feeling, because an emotional feeling is attached to belief systems, is attached to thoughts. An emotional feeling versus an energetic feeling like chi or prana that has no emotion. It's just like an essence energy sensation, right? Essence maybe isn't the right word because I'm going to use essence again in a different way later, but it's more of like an energetic feeling that you feel in your body. You can feel energy moving through your body on an energetic level, which is etheric, but emotion is different, right? So emotion is, it's linked to belief systems and thoughts, right? So if you have a certain belief about something, an opinion about something, and something arises in your reality that has something to do with your opinion. If it's something that you like, you have a positive emotion. If it's something that you dislike, you may have a negative emotion about it, right? So it's attached to your belief, right? And it's attached to your thinking. And this is why the other half of the astral body is the mental body. So the astral body is the emotional body and the mental body. And these two are connected as your astral body. And this is actually what travels around in the dream space, right? So when you're sleeping, you have the etheric body that is keeping your body alive. So you're kind of like a plant when you're sleeping because your astral body's traveling. But when your astral body comes back into your body and you wake up, then you're animated in the world again because your astral body's here and it's not traveling anymore. But this astral body is made up of your emotional body and your mental body. And these two, as you probably know, are very, very closely connected. So when you're having certain emotions, these emotions are spawning thoughts. And conversely, different thoughts can spawn different emotions, right? So there's this reciprocal relationship between your emotions and your thoughts. And all of this is going on primarily in your astral body. Now, you can have an experience in your etheric body or in your physical body that can cause some sort of stimulus that can initiate in a different emotion or a thought also. But the idea here is to make the distinction between all these different levels of feeling so that you can understand what's going on the different levels as you're navigating through the world. And then you can start to pinpoint particular issues to work on, or you can just learn more specifically how to navigate through different realms. So the more you learn what the astral body feels like, and the more that you can modulate your astral body consciously while you're walking around in your daily awake life, then the better you're going to be able to navigate in the astral realm after you go to sleep. So the more lucid you become and the more of a capacity that you have for things like astral projection. So we just talked about the emotional realm, right? And the distinction between emotions and like the prana or like the pure energetic level of the etheric body. And then above that, I also briefly mentioned the mental sphere, right? So this is like your mental body, and your mental body is made up primarily of images, right? So it's like intellectual content. So when you close your eyes, if you imagine different shapes, like you're doing this with your mental body. If you imagine different scenarios where you're picturing certain things, this is done with your mental body. This is very, very closely connected to your emotional body, which, you know, in many traditions are actually combined as the astral body. That's how it's understood. And it makes sense. The reason why I like breaking it up that way is because that's what's actually traveling when you're in the astral realm. You have both the emotions and you have the mental aspect when you're traveling in the astral realm. Okay, so the next level, and this is really where it actually really gets exciting. This is the I am presence, right? This is beyond the astral realm. This is your spirit core, right? The core essence of the one all presence that all of the gurus are talking about. When you get out of your mind, when you get out of your emotions, you tap into this higher space, right? And on this level, there's a new level of feeling. And this new level of feeling is I am presence. And so what's the difference between an I am presence kind of feeling versus an emotional feeling? Well, an I am presence kind of feeling is an eternal feeling. And until you experience an eternal feeling, I like to call it essences. Until you experience an eternal essence, it might be difficult to kind of wrap your head around. But when you have an experience of resting in an essence that is eternal, it becomes very obvious that this is not something that has polarity to it. This is something that always is. In fact, it's something that's always inside of you. It is beneath your thoughts. It is in between the words of what you're thinking. It's in between the emotions. It's behind, it's around. It's always present. And these are really beautiful essences. These are essences like unconditional love would be one way of describing like a portion of the essence that you feel. Another one would be bliss, right? Presence is another word that's used. Isness is another word that's used really commonly. And these are eternal essences. And actually this is, you could say, the substrate of what creates our spiritual essence, right? This is what our spirit core is made of. It's made of this eternal essence, right? And the way that it works is that this eternal essence plugs into a kind of like scuba gear in order for our spiritual self to experience these lower dimensional realms. So you can imagine this essence presence was like a little seed of the all is placed inside a scuba gear so it can go scuba diving into a different realm. And this scuba gear is made up of a physical body, an etheric body, and an astral body. And it then gives us the ability to navigate on these lower realms. Now, when we bring this I am presence into consciously, when we're able to make contact with it, by getting out of our mind, going into deep spiritual states, right? So non-dual state, getting into the witness state, getting into these really, really high states, we're able to make contact with this essence and then let this essence start to consciously impregnate these different bodies. We start purifying these different bodies. And this is why gurus really put a lot of focus on just getting out of the mind and like make contact with that higher version of yourself. Because when you start making contact with that higher version of yourself, it starts purifying you. And it can actually purify your astral body till you become your whole astral body, so your mental body and your emotional body becomes harmonized with the sacred geometry of like the infinite all oneness, right? And it becomes an expression of that oneness in individualized form. And when it becomes that, then it's basically a purified astral body. So your thoughts and your emotions become absolutely pure. You become this pure expression of your truest essence. This can also then move into your etheric body, purify your etheric body, and then even purify your physical body. And, you know, this is, I'm not claiming by any means that I'm at this level, but you can look at beings in ancient scriptures or whatnot that will have all of these amazing capacities to do supernatural, superhuman things with their physical vessels. And this is because they've brought in this I am presence. They've brought in God into their, all the way down through their astral, through their etheric, into their physical body till it's purified them, till they're actually a physical representation of the essence of God in its purest form. Because we're all a physical representation of the essence of God on one level or not. But are we actually in the purest form of that infinite oneness? And that is a goal for all of us to shoot for. But the important thing here is understanding that there are all these different levels of feeling. And when we start to identify the different levels and how our consciousness floats around and how the different emotions and energies cascade through each other as we have different experiences, then we can start to learn how to modulate these things. We can start to learn how to make contact with that I am presence, get into that space through deep meditation. And when we feel that essence energy, we can bring that essence energy in as a kind of presence that can surround different psychological pathologies that we have or different emotional wounds that we have. And that essence can start healing those wounds, right? We can bring different energetic life force prana energy into our body, and we can move that through certain areas of our body to help heal our physical body in order to maybe clog up some etheric holes that we have in our body where we might be getting some unwanted influence coming from different entities or energies from outside of us, right? We can heal that through different pranic and like qigong practices or different energetic practices. And we can start learning like, oh wow, so my etheric body is having an issue right here. or my astral body has this an astral desire pathology that keeps spinning me into the same cycles of thinking, and that's attached to different emotions, which are then creating holes in my etheric body, which are then manifesting as some sort of physical symptom in my physical body, right? So we're able to kind of figure out what's going on. This is like a map for what's going on with our consciousness. And when we're able to map out our consciousness and understand how things are moving, then we can start actually knowing what's going on instead of it just being this big blob of, incoherent, amorphous strangeness that we can't make sense of. And we can actually start navigating our vehicle and driving where we want to drive, going where we want to go. Because otherwise it's like there's no map. It's like we're just running into street signs. We don't know what's happening. So I wanted to make this video to just bring some clarity to these 5 different levels of feeling. Feeling in the physical realm, like touch. Feeling in the etheric realm, like tingling sensation, prana energy, chi, like the repulsion of magnets and the movement of energy. Feeling in the emotional level, like emotions, your response to your opinions and your beliefs in the physical world or in the thought world, right? Then there's the mental body, right? So mentally, what can you feel a mental force when you're projecting a mental force? Can you feel a mental field being created by someone else and their belief systems? Right? Can you feel the geometry of different mental projections, right? So do you know what the experience of the mental body thinking of something is and how that cascades through all of your other different levels of awareness, right? And then the I am presence, this all infinite oneness. Can you make the distinction between that and a positive emotion? We have a lot of positive emotions like happiness or excitement, right? But can we feel the difference between an eternal essence that has always been and that is our true nature versus one end of a polarity, being excited versus being bored, right? Can we feel the difference between that? And then can we call that essence in consciously so it can start transforming and transmuting all of the pathologies in our systems and purifying us to be that true expression of that divine blueprint that we're really here to awaken and step into. Now again, I'm going to be going over this in much more detail in an upcoming course that I'm going to be putting out. So if you're interested in the course, go ahead and go to a link. I'm going to put a link down there to get onto my email list. And then in the email list, I'll keep you posted about when this course is coming up and how to sign up for it. So thank you so much for tuning in. This felt really good to express this and get this out, and I'm really excited to go deeper into this with you. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comments below. If you found this video interesting or useful, please share it with somebody else that you think might find it interesting or useful also. And I'm super stoked to continue bringing awesome content to you. So thanks so much for tuning in. This is Patrick Hayes, and I will talk to you next time. One love.